Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are back on the V10 Continental build. Last episode, we finished up the exhaust system and it sounded...
Oh my God!
If you haven't checked out that video, you should click on this link right now because you don't want to miss that sound. It's amazing. We still have a couple things we have to address in the exhaust. We got a couple more welds to do. We have mounts, and we have to address that ringing noise from that chamber. But we're going to try a couple of things. We're still unsure how we're going to do it or if we're going to do it, because ultimately, if it affects that F1 sound at high revs, we're most likely going to leave it as is. If it rings a little bit during idle or low revs, it's not really a big deal. That's not what this car is about anyways. So we're going to leave the exhaust for a little bit later down the road. Now we're going to address something that a lot of you have picked up basically every time we take the car out for a drive, and that's the intake. The throttle bodies are wide open, so we either know something or we're just complete idiots, because every time we've driven the car down the road, they've been like this. We haven't gotten any kind of issues, no rock chips, no pieces of wood had gotten into the engine, thankfully, but we shouldn't be driving like this. We really should filter the intake. Fortunately, there is a very simple fix. Thank you, sir. We're gonna fix that with a cone filter. This is the easiest modification you can do to your car. All you do is take the air filter, put it on your throttle body, tighten the clamp.
What are you doing, man? You better not be putting that filter directly on the throttle body. We're going to be making ourselves a proper cold air intake to draw air from the outside of the car. We're probably going to use the bumper. There's like snorkels there, so we're probably going to plumb air from there through our filter into the engine to make sure we can make the most power we possibly can. We're going to be 3D scanning, 3D printing, mocking stuff up. So we got a lot of work ahead of us. Let's get to work and break out the scanner. All right, so the first order of business is getting these ugly ass throttle bodies off. We got this one in a junkyard here, and it's all pitted and corroded. This one was from eBay. It's a little nicer, but the plan is going to be connecting to these using actual HD or Vangent clamps, I think is the correct term for these guys. So this has a little pin that you remove, and you get the two sides of your pipe connected with an O-ring seal. So we were going to weld one of these onto here. And before we were going to do that, we took this all apart. And you can see how corroded it is in here. I broke a screw trying to remove the motor. And we got new, nice shiny ones, actual GM ones. We're going to get these installed. These will fit over and we'll weld them around.
So these clamps come with two sides. One for your pipe, one for the throttle body, or two pipes together. But you see the O-rings fit in these grooves, and then you have this sleeve that fits over both of them. So that's what seals against the O-rings. And then you have your clamp. That's what actually clamps on everything. So this just fits over the sleeve. Boom. Then you have your pin that clips it, and this allows for some movement, so it's not a hard mount or weld.
These new throttle bodies use the same bolt pattern as our old ones, so it was a straight swap. We'll need to change out the connector from our harness, but that's a later us problem. And man, that looks so much better already. We started off scanning the top of the engine, then moved on to the bumper and everywhere around the radiator support inside of the bumper. These were the critical areas, the ones that tell us exactly how much room we've got to play with for the design. All right, I think that's good enough. Let's get to catting.
The scan might look a little bare bones, but that's on purpose. We trimmed down the mesh so our ancient computers wouldn't have a meltdown. Still plenty of detail for us to nail the design. We kicked things off by running pipes from the throttle bodies down to the bumper corners, where they'd meet the airbox. But instead of just making boring straight cylinders, we gave them some shape up top to perfectly fill that awkward space between the intake and the radiator. They're not perfectly symmetrical, each side had to snake around different stuff, but from the right angle, they look like mirror images. Now, at the bottom end, it's looked like it's going to be really tight, but until we get the physical parts in hand, we're just going to roll with it. The airbox itself tucks right under the fog lights, nestled inside the bumper so cleanly that once it's all mounted, you'd swear it came straight from the factory that way. And with the opening facing dead ahead, it's going to gulp down fresh, cool air straight into the filter. Here's the whole setup, or at least half of it. The lid ties the pipe, airbox, and filter into one seamless unit, all set to suck you into another dimension. With the design out of the way, let's fire up the 3D printer and bring this to life.
Now, speaking of getting sucked into another dimension, have you ever thought about how you're going to call your friends and family or share the pictures of the other dimension? Well, that's where you need to check out today's video sponsor, Saily. Saily is an eSIM service which makes one of the headaches of international travel way easier. No more hunting around for local SIM cards or dealing with insane roaming prices. I think my provider is something like $10 a day. Instead, just install the Saily app once on your device, choose from one of the over 200 destinations you'll be traveling to, and you'll be online and ready to go for your visit. Click the link in the description to see how Saily can set you up for your next vacation. When traveling, it usually goes one of two ways. Either you're hopping around from Wi-Fi to Wi-Fi, which can be super spotty and inconvenient, or you're standing in lines looking for a local SIM, swapping out cards, and hoping you didn't just get scammed. A few years ago, I was able to visit Japan and it was an awesome experience. I got to drive a Spec R S15 alongside Supras, RX-7s, and GTRs on Japanese roads and down Mount Haruna. But I experienced all that hassle trying to get internet on my phone. As soon as I landed, I was on the hunt for the best deal I could find on a SIM card. And about halfway through my trip, I ran through all my data and had to go find another one. Talk about a headache. But with Saily, you can set it all up digitally and you don't have to go to any physical stores. And being an eSIM, you don't need any physical hardware. So you can prepare for your trip and know when you get there, you will be connected the moment you step into your destination. And on top of that, the plans and pricing are totally transparent. So you can be assured you're getting what you need. And you can monitor all your usage directly on the app. I wish I had known about this years ago for my trip to Japan, but you don't have to make the same mistake. Saily is giving you an exclusive 15% discount on all data plans by just using the code BUILD50 at checkout. Just download the Saily app or go to saily.com/build50 to get 15% off your data plan. Thank you to Saily for bringing one of the difficulties of international travel to the 21st century. Now let's get back to the build. And we get to play with our brand new toy. We're basically printing pipes, and since they take up a whole bunch of volume, we had to slice the design into several pieces and print them separately. But this is a small price to pay to be able to create one-off hardware. Once all the pieces were printed, we hit them with a bit of super glue and boom, full pipe assembled. And for how thin these parts were, everything lined up way better than I expected. We got our pieces glued together into one of the ducts. You can see the flange we've incorporated here at the end. We've changed the cross section from round to oval just to give it a more beefy look, hopefully, in the engine bay. So let's slide this guy in. We start with the hardest part, which is because we got this coolant bottle and the radiator hose down there. So let's see if we get this guy to fit. So it's hitting the bottle here.
We didn't scan the bottle, so that didn't help us, right?
Yeah, the bottle didn't come out in the scan. I don't know why. But it's, yeah, it's not gonna, it's gotta go up.
All right, throttle body is off. Let's see if it, oh, much better, huh?
Okay. Yeah, and it clears here now. We got to reduce this length a little bit. Maybe I'll push this corner lower. So we'll do those couple revisions.
I think maybe you can reduce this length, right?
Yeah, I got to take
straight.
the throttle body length out of this. Push this down.
The overall shape, though, it looks like it's decent.
Yeah, looks
actually
like
fills this gap pretty well.
Yeah.
From the top, it actually looks cool.
Make a couple revisions. Print again. Glue it. Stick it in. And watch the magic of YouTube. I have it right here. Yeah, that's much better.
Much better, huh?
Still looks like we might have to move that tube around.
Yeah, this hose, I think we're just going to change the routing so that it goes over the bottle instead of underneath. That should help us a little bit there.
All right, that looks like a pretty good fit for this side. So we can move on to the other side and get it to fit in just as nice. Let's get to more printing.
All right, so the passenger side pipe is all glued up. So now we're gonna test fit it, make sure everything's good before we move down to the other side of the car. This one fit right in. All right, there you go. So this side is in there. That's looking pretty sleek.
Mr. Snuffleupagus.
Yeah, looks like a walrus.
Oh yeah.
It's got all the animal kingdom in this engine. All right, we don't have any interference, it looks like. Here we had the AC lines, but
Is it clear?
yeah, it looks like it's clearing. You know, so now I think we're gonna get the car up on the hoist and start looking at what we're gonna do under the car.
So you can see our ducts are coming here through the between the radiator and this horn. We're going to have to cut this guy off because in this area we have to fit the air filter and a whole ass box in there. But to get it to fit here, we're going to have to cut these guys off. So
Yeah, those are gonna
let's break out the angle. What was this for?
Oh, that was for the radiator support.
Yeah, the
The
original,
stock one,
the Continental.
ones.
Yeah,
We're
so
not using it.
we're going to be able to cut those guys off, no problem.
Same on
And,
this side. It actually fits really nicely right there in between the radiator and the.
This one fits better.
That fits better. So yeah, this same thing. We're gonna cut this off and then put a box in here.
Do you already have that box cat in? Or?
Roughly, yeah, I do. But I didn't finish it because I was waiting for this to be printed so we could actually see if that's the final spot. Because my plan is to basically have the lid of the box connect to these pipes. So it's gonna be a one-piece design, and hopefully that'll. It looks like there's gonna be enough room here. So I think with this, I should be able to start catting up the final version and then 3D print it and then test fit it. But let's go ahead and cut these off because I know for a fact these have to come off. All right, now that we got those horns out of the way, we can finally test fit an airbox. And we've gone ahead and 3D printed. So this is the idea. It's going to be a two-piece box. The inlet, or where the filter's mounted, is right on the lid. This is going to go straight into those pipes we already showed you earlier. Then the lid just sits on top of this box. This is the main box. This is what's going to be mounted to the car. This is basically why we needed to cut those horns off. And then the inlet is right on the side. This should hopefully fit right in that cutout we have on the bumpers. So we're going to bolt this all up, mount the updated pipe, because here's our third version of this. The design hasn't changed since the yellow ones we showed earlier, but what I did is I actually cut it off a little bit and added the joint here because you can see the lid here. This is basically going to follow the shape of the box and then go into the pipe. So a little bit of updating to make sure everything is integrated properly. So we're going to mount this back in the car. Then that's going to tell us where the box should be. And then hopefully that lines up with the bumper. If not, we'll have to make some adjustments and 3D print one more time.
Moment of truth.
Here we go. It's first test fit of the box. And there it is. Or sort of. That's kind of the idea. So this is going to fit right in here. I'm going to make it a little bigger so that it fills that hole well. Then we got the inlet in here. And then that's where it's supposed to fit with the pipe, but we run into a little bit of a problem. We've chopped off a little bit of it because it looks like it doesn't really line up. Looks
This
like
was
maybe
a little too long,
Yeah.
this neck, so we gotta, oh, it was actually,
yeah. So a little bit too long. Maybe the CAD was misaligned or the 3D scan was misaligned. We're not really sure, but it looks like all I'm gonna have to do now is maybe take some length out from the top. I'm going to 3D print just this section so we can continue test fitting it. And once we get a little more closer, we can go ahead and check the rest of the stuff out because we still have to figure out how we're going to mount the box and all the other stuff. But I think at least the box itself seems like there's plenty of room around it. Just got to fine tune some of the fitment, but that's going to be sick, I think.
it has a very Tron look is what I call it.
Is it the colors or what?
No, the way this face is very flat in here.
Tron, like the movie?
Yeah, what do I call that? Like, you know, it's futuristic, where this has a flat face with a gap all the way around.
All right, so I think we've learned all we could learn today. We have this gap here we have to adjust. All right, third time's the charm. Hopefully this time, this is our third revision of the box. Printed it in my printer. I met the limits of the height. The Bamboo Lab printer was busy printing the other side, so we've been running that thing nonstop. So hopefully this should fit. We made all the changes we wanted to make. You can see we cut and kind of shaved the past box just to visualize what we wanted, and made those changes in CAD. So let's test fit this and see if it meets our requirements. Hook it up here. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it looks much better.
Yeah. So the idea was to follow this shape closer, and then here too as well. This is obviously going to be closed off when the print actually works, but that's basically what we want.
It looks
I'd
good.
say that's a pretty good look.
Yeah. We're not gonna probably do a screen in front of this or
No, yeah,
mesh.
we're gonna leave this open.
Yeah.
We're gonna be running a filter this time, so we don't have to worry about stuff getting in. But yeah, I think I'm happy with that. So that means we can start printing the real parts, because now we're basically ready with the CAD, at least for the driver's side. We still have to do some changes on the passenger side, but we can start to print.
And we're not gonna be using.
No, we're not going to be
AV
using my printer or PLA, which is what we've been using to print all these test pieces. We're going to be running with a little something more exotic. If you've been around the channel for a while, you already know we love 3D printing. We use it constantly to mock up parts, test designs, and even make functional stuff like our battery holder. But here's the thing, up until now, we've been using a super cheap printer that's over 7 years old. And honestly, I thought it was fine. But let me tell you, we had no idea what we were missing out on. Bamboo Labs sent us their X1 Carbon Combo 3D printer. This thing is absolutely stacked. Up top, we have the AMS or automatic material system, which holds up to 4 filament rolls, and it switches automatically if you run out mid-print. That means you can mix materials, you can mix colors, and if you really want to, you could print up to a 4-kilogram part of the same thing. And usually I'm hovering over the printer, praying the first layer sticks, adjusting temps and Z heights, hoping it doesn't spit out a spaghetti mess. This thing has auto bed leveling, and it uses a micro LiDAR sensor and AI to constantly check the part as it's printing. It's like having a little 3D printing wizard built in. We've been running it basically non-stop for over a week now. And not only are the prints faster, they're really high quality. This thing prints so fast that we've redesigned parts and reprinted them in hours, what used to take us days. And the carbon in the name, well, that speaks for itself. That means with this printer, we can print exotic filaments like carbon fiber infused filaments, which is perfect for stuff that needs to withstand real world abuse, like our engine bay, for example. For our airbox and intake tubing, we're choosing to go with carbon fiber infused ASA, which has a much higher thermal resistance versus PLA or ABS. That, along with the carbon content, means our parts are gonna be plenty strong and plenty robust to survive in the engine bay of the Continental. Bamboo Lab claims their carbon fiber filaments are much stronger than non-carbon fiber infused filaments. Let's put that to the test. And we've rigged this up to test that theory. So we have this scale here that's going to measure how much force it takes to break this in two. We're going to use the hoist to lift this up. This is held up at the bottom. And we're going to test this with 2 different filaments. So we have our normal PLA, and obviously we're doing the carbon fiber infused PLA. So we're going to see really how much stronger it is. Wow. Woo! Ho, ho, ho! Whoa! Shoo! All right, results are in. And basically as advertised, average force to break on the PLA was about 150. On the PLA carbon fiber was about 189 or 188.3. That's 25.8% higher stiffness or strength versus the PLA. So if you want stiff parts, if you want to do actual functional, usable parts, carbon fiber is the real deal. One of my favorite features on this printer, remote printing. Once you hook it up to Wi-Fi and connect to your account, you can literally send prints to it from anywhere. You don't need to transfer files on an SD card anymore. Just tap and go. And since you're not home to babysit it, you can monitor the print live, right from your phone. Pause it, stop it, even tweak settings, all with your thumb. Plus, if anything goes sideways, it'll alert you instantly. So thanks to Bamboo for hooking us up with the X1 Carbon. Looks like the print is done. So let's take this out and Now that we have all 5 pieces, we can start assembling the pipe.
And here we have it. We got the 3 parts making up our driver's side intake duct. So we'll glue these guys together. We got our Vangent clamp interfaces here. This goes to the throttle body. This is going to our pods in the bumper. So that's going to allow us to quickly disconnect and assemble this when we get it all put together. We also incorporated the IET bung directly into the print. So we printed our
fully
threads.
functional threads in there.
So we just
Give
take this.
There you go.
Ram that in there, and
Boom.
we can measure our temperatures. Now, we use carbon fiber filament, but we're not going to stop there with the carbon fiber magic. We got to make this match all our other carbon fiber bits for that Mansouri touch. So we got our favorite chopped what do you call it? Carbon fiber OSB.
Carbon.
To get our OSB carbon, because everyone hates the term forged carbon.
So we're going to match the coil cover look with
and all the other bits.
All the exterior parts. We're going to give this a coat of the forged carbon look. And it's still going to be technically 100% carbon part, because this is carbon infused ASA.
Carbon.
So that's going to take a long time. So we should get started while the rest of the stuff prints. Let's go.
Same as with the test pieces, we stuck all the sections together with super glue, this time being extra careful to line them up perfectly. Once it was in one piece, it was time for the messy part, mixing epoxy and coating the entire thing in chopped carbon. And for some reason, we decided not to wear gloves for the first coat. Huge mistake, but not as bad as me standing barehanded in short sleeves. I have no idea what I was thinking. After a couple days of sanding, it was ready for the second coat of epoxy, finally giving us a peek at what the final piece will look like. We did the same process for the second pipe. Glue it, carbon it, sand it, over and over until we got a perfectly flat, even finish. Here's a good look at the progress after a few days of work. One pipe halfway there, and the other on its very last coat ready to fully cure. While all that was happening, the airbox was quietly printing away in my basement, which means we're getting very close to seeing this entire system in real life for the first time.
All right, the box, or the first box, all the parts are finally printed in the ASA carbon fiber. These came out great. So now we're ready to assemble this. We had to print this in a bunch of pieces for them to fit in the Bamboo Lab printer. But now all we're gonna do is glue them together, hopefully for the final time. We have 3 pieces for the main box, and the lid is in 2 pieces. We are going to be using 2-part epoxy. Super glue has been working pretty well for the test pieces, but we want to give it a little extra reinforcement because these are going to be the final pieces. So let's mix some of this up, glue this together, and start test fitting it in the car. All right, we have our first box fully assembled and glued together. It's been drying for like a day or two now.
OEM Plus.
Yeah, this thing is looking really, really nice. I mean, so let's go through a couple things here. So obviously the lid, we integrated the filter, so this just fits right in. And the Vangent clamp O-rings fit perfect. We've already tested the fitment, so we're good on that front. One thing we did that we wanted to give it a little extra spice is we didn't want to do any hardware to close the lid. So instead, we decided to go with OEM style clamps or clips. So these are clips off I think a BMW airbox, and basically how they work is, let's put these close together. We just have a couple features here where they fit in and they just lock in. So we have 4, 2 on either side, and they lock the box. Really,
How
really
satisfactory
nice.
is those clicks?
I know. I was worried at first because I thought maybe they were going to break the plastic, but super strong. this thing is not going anywhere. So OEM plus quality, this is coming out really nice. And then one last thing, because we're gonna mount the box directly to the chassis, we still have to make some brackets. We made some features here, and I epoxied some nuts on the inside. So now we just have to run a bolt from the outside that'll hold the box in place. And yeah, basically that's it. This thing is looking great.
You can see the filter in there?
Yeah, if you look from the right angles, you can see the filter in there. So it's gonna be a nice little tease. We're still not sure if we're gonna add some kind of a mesh in front of it. I think not.
I don't think you can.
Yeah.
It'd have to go in the back. Something, you know, just
to not block the...
Yeah, but I don't think we...
Basically now we're ready to mount this thing. The second box, I just finished epoxying it together, so we're gonna leave that on the side. But Jack finished sanding the pipe for the driver's side. So this thing is ready for clear. But before we clear it, we're gonna mount everything, fabricate the mounts for the boxes, and then we'll clear this as the last step so we don't mess it up like we usually do. So let's take this to the car and mount everything together for the first time.
Like we showed in the beginning, we're going to be putting on these nice new shiny throttle bodies, and then we're going to be adapting it for the Vangeon, the HD clamp flange. So this luckily just slips right on. It sits really well, and we could probably weld out here on this side, but there's no way I'm getting in there. So we could have pulled this, I guess, out and try to weld like that, but it looks much more cool down here. So what we're going to try to do is weld on the inside here. Before we go welding on our new throttle body, we have spares of these. So we're going to take our old ugly ass one. You can see why we're changing this out. I'm going to put this on here. Try welding around here. We got a plate here to keep it cool. See what it looks like. Maybe we'll figure out something else to do. Alright, so we got it welded on. It's now not welded on the outside, just on the inside. And this all fits the way it's supposed to. So I think we're going to stick it, right?
Five minutes later.
All right, guys. Well, we test fitted everything, and it didn't fit.
I tried to make it fit, though.
Yeah, Jack tried to make it fit, and it fit all right. But then it also broke the pipe. So I'm just gonna remove this really quick, and we'll show you Jack's Hulk strength and its consequences. Whoopsie! That is not supposed to look like that.
Yeah.
So Jack was hanging off it, thinking he was Tarzan or something, and this thing just boop.
We had the angle wrong of this.
Yeah.
Every time we've been test fitting these things, we've been doing it with this slipping on, but with it slipped on, you obviously have play.
A lot of play.
So that was the first time we used a rigid welded one, and obviously you don't have as much compliance.
I mean, there's a lot of compliance in the joint itself,
Yeah,
but
not
not enough as when that's loose. So
Yeah.
we were about basically that amount off down there. What we're gonna do is cut this off clean, and we're going to print basically a wedge at the end with the additional 5 or so degrees this needs. And we're gonna bond it back to the pipe, blend it in with some carbon epoxy. It should be plenty strong, and hopefully it fits like a glove.
I bet you didn't know that was the same part. Next day, so we got it, you could see we printed a new ring. This little piece here,
This
glued
was
it on.
basically this.
Yeah.
It's slightly longer. We had to do it twice.
So it changed the angle of this snout, and then we already put one layer of carbon and epoxy, so we'll sand it back down, put a couple more, and it'll be good to go. But
And now it should fit like a glove, hopefully.
Oh, then we gotta bolt our throttle bodies.
Yeah, they're
welded
both
up.
welded. This pipe is already mounted here, so now we can kind of take a first glance at the finished intake from the top. What do you guys think? Clear or matte? Drop a comment below.
Oh yeah, we should finished one completely.
I think Matt looks sick. There it is. Yeah, it's gonna look sick once it's all finished. All right, and now we can finally actually mount the box. I just whipped up these plates. So these go right on the mounts here, and there's nuts glued to the box. So these are mounted here. We're gonna have one welded to the body or bolted to the body, and then we're just gonna basically weld a rod to connect them. We have two areas to mount the box to. And that's basically how it looks. Final spot, just has to get mounted. Blends in with the bumper, actually really nice. You can see the clamps are there with the box lining up with the pipe. So now, just gotta figure out how we're gonna mount this to the body. I'm gonna mount these plates to the box, and then we'll bridge the gap.
With the box in position and the plate mounted, we found an easy to access and flat spot on the body to mount the other plate with the help of a drill and a set of rib nuts. We then bent a piece of 1/2-inch steel tubing to connect both plates and tacked it all together. For the second mounting spot, we chose a spot on the subframe to mount a bracket to, which was then welded to the plate mounted on the box using the same 1/2-inch steel tube. Only this time, it was a straight shot. With everything tacked in place, the brackets were ready to be fully welded. And after a fresh coat of paint, they're ready to be mounted for good. Speaking of a fresh coat of paint, it's finally time to hit the intake pipes with clear coat and make that carbon fiber pop. Wow, these turned out so clean. Under the light, every fiber just jumps out at you. These are going to completely change the look of the engine bay. I cannot wait to get them mounted and see the finished cold air intake on the car. We just got to let them cure, but for you guys, that's only a few seconds away. All right, well there we have it. We got it all finished up. Now we got the intake pipe matching the coil covers. So now it's a complete package. This kind of really rounds out the whole engine bay. We got the two big old snorkels feeding all the way down. So we're getting as cold air as possible, getting sucked in there. But yeah, so now it's getting cool air, filtered air, looks sick. We got, now when you look from the front, you can see those big old air intakes. The goal was to get this thing running so we could hear what it sounds like with the new intake air piping setup, but we are running into a problem. So like we said, we swapped out to these nice shiny throttle bodies. They look way better, but the pinout is a little different than we actually anticipate. So it has 6 wires in there, and this one has 6 wires, but these actually only use 5 of the wires because they're digital based. They have a digital throttle position signal, unlike these. So it's not just a simple plug and play, so we have to get into the computer and figure it out, toy around with it. So we're not going to dive into that yet, but we're going to get that done and get it driving on the road because we want to hear this thing revving out with these sick ass air intakes. That wraps up one of the big projects to get the engine all sorted out, all situated. We won't be sucking in any debris now. It's going to be nice, clean, cold front end air. So that wraps it up for this video. We'll get those throttle bodies figured out, get this thing ripping. We'll see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.